Beats of inconceivable marvel. How Murray's arm can do this, how Hopkins' hands can do that, and how Chubb's feet can move out of bounds before scoring that touchdown, all with this panel. Let's go round the horn. What's going on in Augusta? Oh, we're going to talk about that, Clinton Yates. Chris Bird, star of the weekend. Yes, it's the play of the year. I know I said DK Metcalf just running down a football field was, but I failed Kyler Murray, and for that I am sorry. I didn't see a 43-yard last-second Hail Mary coming this year. There's the throw, and then there's the vice grips. I mean, vice grips are jealous of DeAndre Hopkins' hands. First question, national panel. The most impressive part of this play, was it Murray or was it Hopkins? Tim Kalishaw, around the horn to you.
Oh, at the risk of sounding unappreciative of Kyler Murray's skills, I got to go with the catch.
Okay.
Hopkins, when he makes that grab, you're watching it, and then you watch the replays, and it's not like the guys around him made a bad play. Usually when that happens, the defenders didn't time the jump right. But in this case, there's a guy in front of him, there's a guy behind him. They got their hands anywhere they can get them, and Hopkins just goes up and snags it anyway. It's just a phenomenal catch. That doesn't mean that Kyler Murray running to his left and throwing the...
Well, I think it does mean for you. Let's go to Clinton Yates now. Most impressive part of the play.
It's got to be Kyler Murray for me, but if for no other reason, then Hopkins is a guy that I don't expect to make a play that great, but if I had to pick one player in the NFL who could, it would be him, which is why everybody went nuts when they traded him from the Texans. For Kyler, however, though, avoiding the rush the way that he did, getting that ball off, arm slot Tony, you saw how he delivered that ball. I mean, it was a heck of a throw from the position he was in. I don't say that only because he's a former baseball player. I say that because the height matters, and all the questions people had about him coming in the league, all answered. He can make all the throws, he can win you the games when he wants, and he can avoid it with his feet. To me, it was Kyler. And on the other end, it was a great play that, he comes
Pablo
to
Torre.
Yeah, look, I have a Kyler Murray chest tattoo that I made using a ballpoint pen and a heated up piece of metal last night, so I'm a little bit biased as to our great Asian American quarterback.
Yes.
However, I want to disagree with something that Tim said, because I had Dominique Foxworth on ESPN Daily today. I wanted a cornerback's hot take on how those three defensive backs messed that play up. And what Dominique said was they kind of were going for the ball more than they should have. They kind of wanted an interception. They didn't go for the arms of DeAndre Hopkins as much as they should have. And those three guys, by the way, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, and Trey White, those are three of the best players on the Bills. Those are guys who are not so much shorter and smaller than DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is 6'1". Those guys are all around 6 feet tall. This was a play they should have made, and instead they eat a three-way sort of a slice of pie of shame in the locker room afterwards.
And Jackie McMullen, most impressive part of the play.
Well, first of all, Pablo, what you just described, I don't think that means that they messed up. DeAndre Hopkins made a catch for the ages. Why do we always have to blame somebody when someone makes a great play? Those three guys did their job, and DeAndre Hopkins did a better job at his job. But, Tony, here's why I part company with the Around the Horn panel. I refuse to pick. You will not get me to pick between that incredible pass with that 300-pound-plus man ready to smush him into nothing and to throw it 55 yards on a dime, and then have DeAndre Hopkins rise above with perfect timing, grab that ball. There was never any doubt. And people grabbing at it as he fell. Three of the best DBs in the game. I refuse to pick between those two. They were both spectacular.
Okay, let's go back to Kalishaw real quick.
I just want to mention the greatest foreshadowing I've seen in a football game. Arizona's first drive, which none of you are watching, they're down throwing a third down pass into the end zone. It gets knocked away from Hopkins, and Hopkins signals to Murray walking off the field. Throw it up there, and I will get it.
That's
3 hours
that's
later,
what Murray said on Twitter after the game. Just throw it up there and see what Hopkins does, and it's amazing. And you get Hopkins. Remember when Tiger hit the long putt and the ball stopped, and you saw the Nike swoosh? Now you get Hopkins up in the air, and all you see is the Jumpman logo. It's a great commercial. All right, second question is what one play like that can do for a team. I think you all felt Kyler Murray and the Cardinals were emerging this season, but this play and this win, combined with the Rams beating the Seahawks, make this division a three-way tie, which is absurd. Seattle's offense has gone sideways the last month. Russell Wilson, 10 turnovers since you all gave him MVP of the season. How real is Arizona and LA's surge? How significant is Seattle's struggle, Clint Yates?
I think Seattle's struggle is extremely significant, although in this particular game they ran up against a Rams defense that had everything going, from the defensive line to the DBs as well. But overall, I thought this Cardinals team was pretty good going into the season, so I'm not super shocked. That result doesn't change a ton in terms of the overall ratings in that division. I mean, they won the game, but I don't think that I necessarily believe that the Bills are some bad team. They almost won that themselves on Diggs' great catch. So I'm not too worried about the Bills or even the Cardinals, but the Seahawks, Russell Wilson has to figure it out because right now he is not in command of that offense.
Tim Kalishaw?
Seattle's problems are real. When they go up against good cornerbacks, Wilson is reluctant to throw it to DK Metcalf. We saw that against Peterson 3 weeks ago, and they'll play again this week, and we saw it yesterday against Jalen Ramsey. I think Arizona's winning the kind of games, beating Seattle and then winning that game yesterday. Their confidence has to be sky high. The Rams have the best defense out of the three. If they can just get a little more coordination from the offense, they would probably be the best team.
Pablo Torre.
Yeah, I like the Cardinals in that division, and the big difference between the Seahawks and the Cardinals is not merely that Russell Wilson is playing like Russell Westbrook, can't find anybody downfield. It's the fact, Tony, that the defense of the Seahawks is terrible. The Cardinals have a top 10 defense by DVOA. The Seahawks, though, they're exposed when Russell Wilson is not looking like himself. They got nothing
Pablo,
at all.
but did Seattle lose to LA yesterday because of their defense? Was it because of, their ball security? The way Wilson has looked the last 4 games, what has changed is my question. There might not be an answer, Pablo.
No, I think it's the fact that they are having problems all across the offense. Russell Wilson making terrible decisions, certainly on him. But long-term, Tony, this has been the plague on this team for 2 years at least now. That defense can't win their games when the offense doesn't look good.
And Tim, you brought this up. It's almost like you think DK Metcalf, well, you can get the ball to him whenever you like. I mean, touches shouldn't be a problem in that.
Throw it up there.
Jackie, I want to go to you this. On Arizona emerging and what you saw from Seattle.
Well, let's start with Seattle. And I do think Pablo's onto something. When the defense is that bad, and we're all talking about Russell Wilson being the MVP, then now all of a sudden, if his offense isn't perfect, he starts pressing. And that's what he looks like to me. A quarterback, a very good one, who is pressing. And then the turnovers start to pile up, and you add the bad defense. I like Arizona. If you ask me right now to choose between the two, I will take the Cardinals. Kyler Murray is special. We've seen so many great players come through. You can tell when someone's a winner and they're special.
Right,
and that's
so that's a question you will answer instead of refusing to answer, Jackie. Whether you like the Cardinals or the Seahawks or the Rams, that's now something that you will answer. Just I want to make sure the record's straight here. We'll move on. NBA has squeezed itself into the show. We'll get back to the NFL in a second. But the draft is 48 hours away. Free agency is 96 hours away. The mayhem is right now. Chris Paul, the Phoenix, as of our tape time, it is heading towards a done deal. Lakers making a move for Dennis Schroeder. And there's smoke around Harden to Brooklyn. Jackie, let's start with the deal that looks to be done. Phoenix and Chris Paul. What are you hearing there? What do you think of it?
No, this is gonna happen. This is something that we have been hearing for a while. Here's the great news for the Phoenix Suns. You didn't give up Ayton. You didn't give up Mikal Bridges. You didn't give up Cam Johnson or Cameron Payne. Those are all young players that you were hoping to build your team around. This is a grand slam home run for Phoenix. We knew that OKC wants to rebuild and retool. So this is a win for both of these franchises.
Pablo Torre?
Yeah, the Phoenix Suns made that run 8-0 in the bubble in those seeding games without Kelly Oubre. That's the guy they gave up. And so, yes, great deal for the Suns. I just want to point out, Chris Paul's contract was once deemed untradeable. He's making $40+ million per year the next 2 years. He's been traded twice since then, so maybe let's retire that label in general.
I agree with Pablo. Everybody is now tradable in the NBA. We've seen that. Make note that Chris Paul is joining the hottest team in the NBA. Phoenix won all its games in Orlando. Yeah. They won their last 8 games. Nobody could touch him in Orlando.
On the
now
surface,
he joins that team.
You would wonder
pretty good team.
Whether a veteran like Chris Paul going to a team that didn't make the playoffs would be, a move that you want to make. But it seems like everyone thinks this is a good space for him. Clinton Yates, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good space for him from a family standpoint, too. He's closer to Los Angeles. This is something he talks about as important to his life. So a happy Chris Paul, to me, is a better guy than having, in the hinterlands where he feels he can't contribute to the team as well. But I'm not going to sleep on the loss of Kelly Oubre Jr. I mean, this guy's one of the best young players in the league. I don't think that Oklahoma City has walked away from this with some sort of, robbery. I think this
Oubre
is a good deal.
SGA in Oklahoma City.
It's a tradable asset.
Yeah, that's gonna be some fun. What Oklahoma City has. Yeah, and all the draft picks they have for the next decade. Now let's talk about Harden and Brooklyn, because there is smoke here. What would it take for Brooklyn to convince Houston here, Jackie? And what would Durant, Irving, and Harden mean for title chances?
I mean, it just blows my mind to even consider this, and it really comes down to this. James Harden hasn't formally asked for a trade. We know that Russell Westbrook wants to move on. Harden hasn't so much as said that. He's concerned about where the franchise is going. If he says, look, man, I'm out of here, the Nets are in better position almost than anyone because of the assets they have. They have a young Karis LeVert. They have Spencer Dinwiddie. They have Jarrett Allen. You throw all those numbers together, you get close to Harden's contract. They also have draft picks. Those are the kind of things, if you're Houston and you're forced to trade Harden, you would take that on. But they still don't want to trade him, Tony.
But that big three of Harden, Irving, and Durant, is that an immediate Eastern Conference leader and title contender?
It's a lot to wrap your head around. I mean, obviously, people would love that problem, but there's only one ball. I don't know how you.
All right, so you have some pause there.
And who defends?
Pablo Torre, you're nodding.
If you can get James Harden, you get James Harden. You figure it out later. And yes, I know the one ball thing, there is a truth to that, but everybody knows the NBA is an arms race. If you can get that guy because you know you're going to face maybe LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the NBA Finals or in the Western Conference Finals, whatever division your team may be in, yes, you go get him and then you make it all work on the back.
Tim Kalisha?
You know, a lot of Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City was to the situation with Russell Westbrook and him not getting the ball. Now you want to pair him with Kyrie Irving and James Harden and see how much Kevin Durant gets the ball. Harden just takes the life. I mean, he's a great player, but he takes the life out of the offense. He has to have the ball. Kyrie Irving won't have the ball. I don't see how any of that works.
Yeah, this energy is way too chaotic for me from a Brooklyn standpoint. You got a new coach coming in. You've got KD who's coming off of injury. You don't know how that's going to meld in the New York market. And then you get a guy who's effectively ball hog, even though a great one like Harden. I don't know, man. This sounds like NBA 2K, so not the actual
That's
league.
the majority of the panel, I think. Jackie, I'm not sure where you exactly stand on this. If you get Harden, you get Harden.
Well, because, I mean, Harden is such a transcendent talent. It's only fair to say, defensively, those three guys are among the lower level of defensive players. I think Durant can be better.
Yates and Kalisha, though, say no to that deal from Brooklyn's perspective, which is stunning to me. All right, taking a break. Coming back, we'll have Dustin Johnson, the Masters, and then we'll get back to football. Look at this. Tua, 3-0. Dolphins-Chargers yesterday was as good as it gets uniform-wise. So clean, they glow. I was there up close. I saw this. I was working in Miami this weekend. My Heisenberg shirt. I'll see you guys later. Yeah.
Goodness.
Oh, my
Should have changed the face mask too, Dolphins.
Today from the NCAA basketball tournament, if there is one this season, will be all in one city next year. If there is a next year. Indy, the likely choice, if there's a choice. Clinton Yates, buy or sell?
I'm selling this. Number one, I'd like to know some plans about what's going on with the women's tournament. But number two, I don't have any plans that I've understood for what's going to happen with the regular season. So how exactly do we plan on executing this tournament if we don't know who's going to be there and how? I understand that they want to do things to make sure that down the line it can happen. But how about right now so we can figure out what's going to happen on campus with these kids who are putting their lives at risk in order to play basketball?
I'm buying this because all you have to do is look at college football where some teams have played 8 games and some have played 2 to recognize, okay, the college basketball season might be a little messy as well during these winter months. But what does college basketball have to have? It has to have that tournament for money and for interest, which they missed a year ago. So you plan a bubble in Indianapolis and you start preparing for that now.
Okay, so you're throwing the word bubble out there. Pablo Torre, is this a bubble?
I assume so.
I am cautiously buying if, in fact, there are bubble-like protocols, Tim, because until then, it's basically a convention. Get everybody in town at the same time, which is a great idea until it becomes the worst idea imagined As imagined by Woody Page, by the way, who wanted every team in the NCAA to have its own place in the tournament, so thank God it's not happening this year. But Tony, Indianapolis is the NCAA's host city. My hope is that they work with them and are logical about those protocols that we just
But right, bubble has not been announced. What's been announced is one city. Jackie Mack, buy or sell it?
I'm going to buy it because I think we're only getting preliminary indications of how this is going to go. There are 3 colleges in Indianapolis that they can use for facilities, and my guess is they're doing this for safety reasons. And we've always stressed that you want to make it as safe as possible for these athletes. So I'm guessing that they're going to have protocols that they're going to try to do to make these guys be safe.
To Clinton's point, a lot of oxygen spent on college football and how they were going to pull off their season. College basketball hasn't been in the spotlight that much, and here we are in the precipice of the season. How many courts would you need in one? You need 4 courts, right? That's it.
You need 4
you don't
courts.
need 8 courts.
That's all
You
you
need
need,
16.
4 courts.
Butler, I
Go to high schools, Jackie. This is Indiana. The Hoosiers
don't need
stay.
to.
That's what
You
we
won't
want.
even need to.
Pacers.
We'll move on.
don't need to.
Dustin Johnson's domination of Augusta. What's going on at Augusta? 20 under, the best score ever at the Masters. How it happened in November, and whether you put an asterisk on that. And this quote from Johnson, quote, the first major's the hardest, but then I would say the second one is just as hard. Tim, what's the takeaway from Yogi Johnson's Masters win?
I'm selling it for its entertainment value. Wasn't exactly riveting on Sunday. I'm selling me and everyone who says when Dustin Johnson wins, why doesn't he win more often? That's not really fair. He's the big hitter who went 20 under. The big hitter who was the favorite, DeChambeau.
Okay, hold on a second. What's going on with Kalishaw? I mean, come on. I go to you for my golf. This is Chris Vernon from The Ringer. This is the greatest thing on the internet. We'll talk about that in a second. I go to you for my golf, and you think there should be an asterisk because this is a November win, and it's not that. What is this?
It's the easiest the tournament's ever played.
Oh, yeah, so sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Pablo?
I sell Dustin Johnson's wisdom there because it's second to J.A. Adande's to win tournaments. You have to win tournaments in terms of sagacious golf observations for me. But I will point this out too. If everything goes well with the virus in our country, he's going to have to defend this thing, Tony, in 5 months. So get all of those good vibes while you can.
But the domination on the course. Can we talk about that for a second? Jackie Mack, please.
Dustin Johnson was wonderful in this tournament. I don't know why everybody just can't say that. The fewest bogeys ever in a Masters championship. Only 4 of them. That's not very many, Tim and Pablo. He won this thing wire to wire. Let's give the man his due, please.
Clinton Yates, your takeaway from Dustin Johnson's Masters.
I'm buying the entertainment value. We saw Cameron Smith go 4 rounds under 70 and not even win. We saw Tiger Woods look like a normal golfer. And Chris Vernon and my man John Roser are the most entertaining thing we got going right now.
Thank you for bringing this
media.
up.
We know what's going on at Augusta. All right, good job out of those guys. Fantastic work.
Kalishaw, are you sure? Oh, man. You still have enough to advance, Kalishaw. That was not the argument I thought I was getting from my golf correspondent. Pablo Torre, Jackie McMullen. Take a seat. Yates, Kalishaw, showdown in 4 minutes. Okay? Honesty matters. Tiger Woods is full. Patriots 23, Ravens 17. Look at the weather at the end of this game. You can't run a 2-minute drill in this. Baltimore now, more losses than all of last season. Last wild card in conference today. How concerning is this loss? Has Baltimore taken a step back? And what's the reason, Clinton?
Yes, they've taken a step back. Yes, it's extremely concerning, and one of those reasons is Mr. Mark Ingram. I know he's coming off injury, but last night, 5 carries, 5 yards. His longest run was 5 yards. That ain't good.
The weather was brutal, and that's a little bit of an excuse, but their losses to Pittsburgh and Kansas City, okay. Losing to the Patriots, any kind of weather. Patriots played it at 2. Bad loss, big concern.
Split the point. We'll move on. You blamed Todd Gurley for lack of situational awareness, scoring in a game the Falcons would lose. Well, have you come to praise Nick Chubb for going 59 yards to step out of bounds in a game the Browns won? He said Baker Mayfield told him not to score previously. He said his coaches told him not to score, so he didn't score. Are you okay with this, Tim?
We have lost our mind. Coaches have lost their mind. You don't need to not score there. You're going to go up 10 with less than a minute to go against a team that scored 7 points.
Well, more
Not a
importantly,
worry.
they said not to score. They didn't say to go out of bounds. He could have easily just kept running along the goal line to waste the time they needed in order to win the game.
Of course you're both right here. I do love Tim pointing out that the opposing team only had 7 points in the game. I get it.
What are they going to do?
But, okay, Kalishaw point. We'll move on. More impressive from Lane Kiffin this weekend that his team scored 59, that he threw the clipboard 20 yards vertical, or that he ran the 40 here with his receiver in about 5 seconds or so. Clinton?
Absolutely. It's both of them. He threw the thing. He's got the punch out right there. Tim wasn't even watching this game. For those of us that saw it live, it was the most exciting thing that happened on that football field. This is why we like Lane Kiffin.
I don't want to diminish anyone's enthusiasm. That's the kind of celebration when you win a conference or at least win a game. That gave him a 3-point lead with 12 minutes to go. There's a lot of football.
I've seen you celebrate wins on this show. That didn't win you the Panelist of the Year award, Tim Kalishaw. That being said, 30 seconds of FaceTime.
It has been, as we talked about, a strange college football season. Some teams, some conferences having trouble just getting on the field. Wouldn't this be a good year, depending on how things play out over the next month, to at least consider a team not a Power 5 team for the college football playoff? Cincinnati is 7-0. Cincinnati is running over everybody. They will stay undefeated in their conference. Maybe this is a good time to see what is it really like if a non-Power 5 team goes up against the Alabamas and the Ohio States. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Okay, from our non-Power 5 panelist, Tim Kalishaw. That's going to do it, folks. Thanks for coming around.
I like that idea,
23.5 hour break.